Right, so you saw that when we try to start the application, so here under the dev environment, which picks up the application-dev properties. So in here, let's try and run this again. And there we go. So this actually is throwing an error and it says connection attempt failed. Now, this is really important that you understand, and I want to make sure that you fully grasp what is going on. So if I go back to the diagram, in here, what we're trying to do is we have, let me just zoom in. So basically we have IntelliJ right here running on our laptop, and we are trying to basically access our database. Now, with some of the resources that AWS provides, it has this thing called security group. Now, a security group acts as a virtual firewall for your EC2 instances to control incoming and outgoing traffic. So what is happening is that we are trying to connect from our local machine somewhere out in the internet to this database, and this database has a security group attached to it. Now the traffic coming in says, right, I'm not allowing you because you don't have the correct rules to access the database. Now, if I come up a little bit or zoom out a little bit, so in here, you can see that these EC2 instances, they also have security group attached to it. Now with security groups, we can say allow a CIDR block or an IP range, or we can also say anything that has a security group attached to it, you can allow or deny. Now in our example, we are not connecting IntelliJ through the load balancer, which users should really be doing, right? They should be connecting to the load balancer. So any traffic going to your applications should be going through the load balancer and not directly accessing the database instance, so on and so forth. But it's really important that you understand this, because right here, so right here, you see that we have Amigos code in here. So this is a database inside of the instance itself, which we don't have. Now we want to create this ourselves so that the application works fine. Or we could change this to a database which Amazon gives us by default, which is Postgres. So they give us this database by default, but I don't want this. I want to connect to a database called Amigos code. So in here, let me go back to AWS. And what I'm going to do is just to show you. So in here, you see this endpoint, and in fact is the same one as this one. So we can grab it from here. So command 1, and let's grab all of this. So this should be like that. So let's just grab all of this, command C, and then here, let me just type PSQL, and you've seen this, but instead of the host, I'm going to connect to basically the URL right here. And right here for the user, I'm going to say Amigos code. So remember, Amigos and then code. So this is Amigos code. And the password we will enter in a second. But also in here, say dash and then D for database. And here say Postgres. So by default, the RDS instance comes with a database called Postgres inside, and you'll see this in a second. Now, if I press enter, you can see that this is taking a while and it should fail eventually. And also, we actually don't need this network in here anymore, but this should work. So just give a second and this should fail. And there we go. You can see that could not connect to server, operation timed out. So basically what is happening is this, right? So we are trying to connect to our database instance directly. The traffic is being intercepted by this firewall, the SG or security group. And this is actually denying the incoming traffic. Next, let's go ahead and configure our database to allow incoming traffic from the internet or from a specific IP address.